What do it do? Listen, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, whether you know me personally or you just clicked on some random guy's video, it is all good. You guys just entered another chat in the Chocolate Milk Corner hosted by your boy, Chocolate Milk Poppy. If you did not know, and if this is your first time being here, this is a safe space to talk a little bit about a lot of stuff. So movies, Power Rangers, mainly a lot of Power Rangers, but a lot of movies, a lot of me being outside talking to different people, and a lot of just random things that you're gonna find here. The Chocolate Milk Corner is very random, and you never know what you're gonna get. But expect a lot of Power Ranger stuff, and expect a lot of nerdy stuff, and just expect a really good time anytime you're here. Okay. Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes of it all. Listen, you guys may not know me, but I'm trying to get y'all to know me. Like I said, my name is Chocolate Milk Poppy. The people who know me personally, they know me by my first name. And like I said, I'm into a whole bunch of different things. With that being said, I am currently working on a new series. Basically, it's a what if series. And in my mind, if Disney can do a what if series on their own material and Marvel material, then I can do a what if series on some Power Ranger stuff. So, when I was a kid, I used to, mind you, I'm very obsessed with the Power Rangers. I've met a bunch of Power Rangers. I met the original Red Ranger, wait, I'm tripping, like I don't remember his name. Austin St. John, excuse me. And he dubbed me a Red Ranger after meeting him. Now, let's go back. When I was a kid and I was obsessed with the Power Rangers, the thing that I used to really like to do was like merge Power Rangers with like my favorite shows, right? So like I would take a show like Out of the Box, and six of those kids who I see on a regular basis, I like dub them as Power Rangers in my head, right? Or like I watch like Boy Meets World or something like that, and merge them with a season of Power Rangers. At the time, Boy Meets World, when I was, and mind you, I'm like 34, so Boy Meets World and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers were out at the same time, so I probably just merged those two. But here we are. Almost 3 decades later, we've got tons of Power Rangers and tons of shows that I watch. And so now we can do a little bit more merging. And I think you guys are going to appreciate the one that I'm doing today. Mind you, this is just a grown man child bringing his imagination to life. So hopefully you stick around. If you don't want to stick around, you know you can just click off of it. But hopefully you stick around because you might be interested in it. So today I'm merging a supernatural show that I really like, that I know a lot of people like. Gonna merge that with a random season of Power Rangers that I feel like the lore kind of go hand in hand. All right, boom. The supernatural show that I'm going to be merging today, the supernatural show that I'm using is the Vampire Diaries. If you are a Power Rangers fan or a Vampire Diaries fan, that's got to be the reason that you clicked on this video. You saw the name of the team, you saw something, you clicked on this video because you're a fan of both or one or the other. One or the other. Now, the season that I'm merging the Vampire Diaries with is Power Rangers Samurai. I figured this was a good one because both of them kind of have a lot of the same like backgrounds, a lot of like similarities like in the background. For example, the Samurai Power Rangers, their powers are passed down by generations. So like it's your dad could be the Red Ranger, his dad could be the Red Ranger, now you're a Red Ranger, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? And then in the Vampire Diaries, if you watch the Vampire Diaries, we know that while it's not in the lore as much later on, in the very beginning, we get the founding families. We know the founding families, the Gilberts, the Forbes, the Lockwoods, they're the Salvatores. They're very like intertwined with Mystic Falls and the entire show, and yeah, just that whole like the information about vampires being passed down to the next generation, right? Again, this is still kind of new. This is my first time doing this series. I actually did this video before, and it was whooping my behind, and I did not like the end result. I scrapped the whole thing, and we're restarting it, and here I am. But before we do go, and I'm gonna probably say this a couple times, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to it so that the next time, and hit the little bell too, so the next time I post some stuff, you guys will already be some of the first ones in line getting the information, getting my video, and getting to see what's going on in my imagination. Now, with that being said, you guys, grab a straw, relax, and let's get into another chocolate milk chat. Boom. So like I said, we're getting straight into it. Let's talk about the lore really quick, which I kind of tiptoed on a second ago, touched on a little bit. Yes, the Power Rangers Samurai, they are a team where their powers are, like, each Ranger's powers come from their individual families. A prime example is that the Yellow Ranger of the season, Emily, when the season starts off, her sister is supposed to be the Yellow Ranger of the team. However, she gets really sick, and Emily ends up being the Yellow Ranger of the team. In a plot twist, the Red Ranger, Jaden, come to find out his big sister Lauren is actually the main Red Ranger, but she had to go into hiding, a bunch of other stuff. Like I said, their powers get passed down generation by generation, which makes it, kind of perfect to go with the Vampire Diaries because their information and all of their knowledge, and even some of the witches and other supernatural beings, their powers get passed down generations to generations. The witches and the werewolves, as a matter of fact. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just hop straight into it. See which person would be what ranger. And obviously, we're starting with my favorite color, the Red Ranger. One thing you guys should realize about Red Rangers is that they are very self-sacrificing, crash outs. They can be logical, but sometimes they can be very irrational at the same time. With that being said, the Gilbert family are the Red Rangers, and I got to do a little bit more breaking down and a little more lore. Okay, okay, boom. We all know Elena Gilbert is a self-sacrificing person. You could say you don't like Elena Gilbert. I'm a person that doesn't like Elena Gilbert, but one thing I can say is Elena will always go sacrifice herself to make sure her friends are okay. She will put herself in the line of fire to make sure everybody else is safe. And she's done it before where with Klaus, when he had Tyler, Elena gave herself up. Anytime someone kidnapped Bonnie or Caroline, Elena was about to give herself up. It would have been just as easy as that for her. You have Jeremy, who also, he kind of shares a lot of the same values with Elena. Like, he's very much, he's going to go defend somebody, protect somebody. Even with him having that whole Hunter storyline and the Hunter's mark, that kind of helped him out too because it gave him supernatural abilities and made him a little bit stronger, right? Now, here's the thing. Here's how we're going to break this down. There's also a Dark Red Ranger in the Samurai season. I'm giving that to Catherine Pierce and saying that Catherine Pierce is the Dark Red Ranger. Side note, you guys, I'm still learning how to edit. So the pictures that you guys are going to see with Power Rangers is going to be our characters' heads like over the Power Rangers. And do it look a little ugly right now? Yeah, it does. But I don't want to hear your mouths while I'm fixing this, okay? Thank you. This is a trial run for me. Not a trial run. We're at the beginning of what's going to end up being great. So back off. Back off. And just look at it, okay? And see my vision. But back to what I was saying. There is a Dark Red Ranger. I'm willing to say that, and this is going to be a lot. Boom. The Bennett witches created the samurai powers. In this universe, the Bennett witches created the samurai powers, right? I believe that the founding families got the Bennett witches that came into Mystic Falls, whatever Bennett witch was available, to make something that'll help match the power and intensity of a vampire so that the founding families could each have it. But let's go back a few hundred years, couple centuries. Catherine kept her a Bennett witch at the time. Whoever was like right after Ketsia, for real, for real. I do believe that Catherine, being the doppelganger, she met this Bennett witch, and the Bennett witch hooked her up with a little something to let her be able to protect herself from Klaus, the Red Ranger Morpher, right? The original one. However, Catherine also decided to become a vampire. She took that route. We all know why, but she became a vampire. With that being said, those powers got corrupted while they were with Catherine. Catherine held on to those powers, and she stopped using them for a while, but she held on to them for a little while until she met Isabel. We all know who Isabel is, Elena's biological mother, and we know that the Petrova bloodline, because the Vampire Diaries producers and writers, they said it themselves that the doppelgangers are related in some weird way, shape, or form. I'm willing to go and say that Catherine gave her morpher to Isabel, who left it for John, and John might get, like, however, some way it went to the Gilbert family. I didn't feel like getting into the details of that, but somehow it ended up in the hands of the Gilbert family through John, and then, what was Elena's father's name? Grayson. Grayson Gilbert got it. So we went from having Catherine being the Red Ranger to this Dark Red Ranger, and then the powers being given over to the Gilbert family. And now you got Jeremy Gilbert, who becomes the Red Ranger temporarily, but overall, Elena becomes the Red Ranger. Elena does have leadership qualities too. Like, I feel like people do listen to her. I feel like she does have a commanding, not a commanding presence, but people listen to her a lot of the times. And she's very irrational, like most Red Rangers. So is Jeremy. They're both very, just like, emotionally charged all over the place, but it makes sense for them. Like I said, I feel like they're the most self-sacrificing people next to Bonnie, but we're getting there. They are the most self-sacrificing people. They will put themselves in a line of danger on purpose to save their friends. Elena quite literally got taken up out of there by Rebecca, because she made sure Stefan saved Matt first. So, hey, what can I say? Jeremy has gotten ixnayed a couple of times, not really off of sacrifice, but he's been down to do that before, so I'm not giving him too much. Yes, recapping that part, Red Rangers. Our Dark Red Ranger is Catherine. Our like backup Red Ranger is Jeremy, and our main Red Ranger for this team is Elena Gilbert. We're moving on to Pink Rangers now. Pink Rangers, you get an array of Pink Rangers, but the main thing that we have seen over the years are kind of like the girly girls, like Kimberly or Sid. But we've also seen the Pink Rangers who don't BS around, like Vita, and maybe even Rose. Like we've had some pretty about it Pink Rangers. A lot of Pink Rangers, it never gave pump, it never gave like, oh, I'm about to run away from the fight. It's about to be we're getting active. A lot of Pink Rangers are very organized, very headstrong. If you haven't figured out which like character from the Vampire Diaries is the Pink Ranger, it's got to be something wrong with you. It's definitely 100% Caroline Forbes. Listen, the Forbes family is part of the founding family, okay? Why they became the Pink Ranger? Maybe the original Forbes sheriff was a woman and they just ended up with the Pink Ranger powers and it kept passing down. Because remember the Forbes were sheriffs and like a flashback and everything like that. And then the powers came down to her dad. I would imagine that he almost corrupted the Pink Ranger powers because he was kind of drunk with power at some point. And during that divorce between him and Liz, I would imagine that he gave Liz the morpher to protect herself and protect Caroline and eventually give the morpher to Caroline. Now, I'll also say that Liz was hesitant about it when Caroline first became a vampire and she realized Caroline was a vampire. She probably did not want to give Caroline the morpher, but her trust back in Caroline and realizing that all vampires weren't the same, she does end up giving Caroline the Pink Ranger morpher, especially knowing that Elena and Jeremy need the backup. Really Elena, because they can only be one morphed Red Ranger at a time in my mind. So we not round out the team, but we add on by adding Caroline Forbes, the Pink Ranger, to our team of Samurai Rangers in Mystic Falls. Which, by the way, they need a name. The only name I could really think of is Power Rangers TVD. Like Power Rangers Samurai TVD just felt like too much, but maybe like Power Rangers Samurai / TVD. Power Rangers Vampire Diaries. I don't know. Vampire Samurai. Vampire Samurai Diaries. Power Rangers, the Vampire Samurai Diaries. I like it. I think it eats, actually. Let me know in the comments if you do too. Listen, Caroline is the kind of Pink Ranger, she kind of sums up a lot of the Pink Rangers. Girly girl, we know that for sure. Her organizational skills, off the chain. She can take charge. She kind of reminds me of Jen from Time Force in that sense, because she can take charge and everybody kind of dusts Caroline off, but when she locks in and she gives you a job to do, there's no, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to talk back. Everybody knows. They'll be talking to each other and be like, all right, yeah, it's cool hanging out, but I got to finish this before Caroline comes and wrings my neck. They always say something. So yeah, I really do feel like Caroline would be a great Pink Ranger. She just fits the Pink Ranger. She has that motherly instinct. She does look out for everybody else, not in a self-sacrificing way, but just like in this really organic, loving way. She just makes sure everybody's always okay. She's also caught wearing pink a whole lot. Now, moving on to Green Rangers. This one's gonna be fun. So, Green Rangers are typically down to earth. They kind of come in a little bit clutch. Most of the time, or those couple times where a Green Ranger has been the Sixth Ranger, like Tommy and Cam, they come in out of nowhere, very powerful. They tend to stay powerful. Sometimes they get their abilities nerfed and they're just not as strong as before. Which, again, this one's kind of obvious. This one is Bonnie Bennett. I picked Bonnie for the Green Ranger because, like I said, the Green Rangers are typically more down to earth. Bonnie has always been the most down to earth character on that show. Again, she's always come in very clutch too. In the last second, the last leg, when they really needed help, Bonnie has been right there. If you ask me, she's just as intelligent as someone like Cam, or someone like Trip, or and she's very like, she can get in and out of a situation. Like she's very slick, like Ziggy or Xander. So she fits that Green Ranger category. Now the lore behind how she got her powers. The Bennett witches were never stupid. It never gave dumb. It never gave stupid. As a matter of fact, whatever I give you, I gotta make sure I got one on my own in case y'all decide y'all want to turn y'all backs on the real one. I would imagine that the Bennett witch that created the other family's powers made sure that they had a set of powers for themselves and for the Bennett line, just in case anyone needed to protect themselves from the rest of the founding families. And so, boom, now you have Bonnie, who doesn't know the spell to make a new morpher, but probably knows the spell to like kind of just activate it and keep everything going. And yeah, I think she would make a great Green Ranger. Honestly, she's also, I mean, not to just keep saying what people wear, but like she's been caught wearing green a whole lot in the show, and green just looks really good on her. Another thing, some Green Rangers on the team can be the butt of people's jokes, and I feel like Bonnie Bennett was the butt of Julie Pleck's joke for a long, long, long time. But it's like she one of them ones like you can't put her down. Her character, no matter how bad you try to write a storyline for her character, it'll never be down. She'll always be back up. And I swear every Green Ranger has that storyline where it's like they get down for a little bit, but they bounce back, and they're even stronger than they were before. So yeah, I guess it just to me it just makes sense that Bonnie would be the Green Ranger of this team. Okay, we're switching to Blue Rangers right now. Blue Rangers are typically reliable Rangers. It was stated in Power Rangers Ninja Storm that the Blue Rangers are the ones that people rely on. They can be intelligent too, like Billy, um, Tori as well, and they just kind of, like I said, they're reliable. If there's a plan, you can always depend on them to be a part of the plan. Now, I had two options for this one. It was out of Tyler Lockwood and Matt Donovan. And you guys are gonna you already hate me for making Elena the Red Ranger, so get ready to hate me some more. Matt is the Blue Ranger. Oh my God, Matt Donovan, what are you talking? Quit playing in Matt's face. Listen, go back and watch the series. You guys only don't like Matt because of two storylines, and those weren't towards the end. But think about it. Matt was dedicated to making sure his family stayed afloat in some way, shape, or form. Matt was dedicated to making sure his bills was paid, and some way, somehow, still found a way to help out his supernatural friends every time they called. He is reliable. He's more reliable than Tyler is. Tyler, who also is a Blue Ranger option, he wasn't as reliable all the time. Tyler pops up every now and then to help, but he doesn't keep the responsibility of being that guy. Like, just to give you a little bit of lore, and we all know that the Donovans, come to find out, are actually the Maxwells, and they played a big part in Mystic Falls, whatever. But let's just say that the founding family, since they kind of ex-nayed the Maxwells out, when they made that blue morpher, that was for the Lockwood family, without nobody knowing that the Lockwoods were werewolves on top of that, right? And everybody kind of knew that the Lockwolves had a bad attitude, but again, no one really knew about the werewolf thing. And those powers kept getting passed down. Now those powers got passed down to Tyler, but Tyler, we all know his storyline. He was in and out of Mystic Falls too much. He was always hunting down Klaus. He was always trying to undo something that Klaus did. I would believe that he felt like it didn't make sense for him to have those powers and keep coming in and out of Mystic Falls, knowing that his friends were still grouped together and needed those powers. So the next person that he could really depend on and think of that would not abuse those powers is Matt Donovan. He gave Matt that house. I would say first he gave Matt the powers first before he gave Matt his house and everything like that. Although I feel like that happened pretty early, so I feel like that would have been around the same time. But I would imagine this team would go periods without having the Blue Ranger, and then Tyler was like, "That's not cool," and Matt probably pressed him about it, and eventually Tyler gave Matt the Blue Ranger morpher, so it would kind of round the team out a little bit more. And so now we got your backup Red Ranger, a Red Ranger, a Pink Ranger, a Green Ranger, and then Matt being the most reliable character that you have in the beginning, at least. He definitely makes a great Blue Ranger. And again, it's another one situations where he probably just looks good in blue. Like, he got the really nice blue eyes. He always wears blue, and maybe it just makes sense that he's just like the Blue Ranger. But personality-wise, I do feel like he would uphold the Blue Ranger title, and I feel like he would help bring honor back to the Donovan name. Like, I feel like he's never done anything but try to keep some type of honor to the Donovan name. All right, before we finish off with the rest of the team, let's take a detour and talk about Six Rangers, right? So a Six Ranger, like I said, it could be green, but we haven't had that many green Six Rangers. But Six Rangers are typically like, they just kind of come out of nowhere. They're kind of clutch too. I'm actually making the Six Ranger who's going to be the Gold Ranger, Stefan. So in Samurai, right, the Gold Ranger, his powers weren't passed down. He created his own powers. So that's going to play a big part in how we're going to do this lore. Boom. The founding families. The Bennett Witch, when she made those powers, people had to be worthy of getting their powers, right? The Salvatore family at the time, the head of their family was Giuseppe Salvatore. All of us know that he's a bad man. He wasn't going to be able to get those powers. He wouldn't have been acceptable to have given those powers to. So Damon and Stefan would have never gotten the chance to be Rangers, especially because they got taken out of there in their teenage years, anyways, by Giuseppe. On top of that, however, it's not so far fetched to say that Giuseppe's ass, him being as conceited as he is, most likely he went and got a morpher made, tried to find another witch to hook that morpher up, tried to convince the Bender witch to do it, and everybody kept saying no. However, fast forward all these decades, all these years, Damon kept that morpher. Damon did not want to be a Power Ranger. Stefan wanted to help his friends out a little bit more and wanted to always feel like he could do more. With Damon knowing that, Damon gave Stefan the morpher and even talked to Bonnie to see if she could perform the spell to activate the same powers. And because those powers aren't as old and aren't as strong, Bonnie wouldn't know the exact spell, but she would probably try to practice it, try to do it, and at least make those powers as strong as they needed to be for the time being. So like while they're an active team, they like Stefan is pretty strong on his own, but he may not be as strong as the rest of them because it's an old spell, old magic. You get a few Six Rangers like Eric or like Ryan who have like this really brooding thing about them, and Stefan does the brooding hero thing just perfectly. He's got the hero hair. He doesn't always like to be smack in the middle of it, but he does like to make sure his friends are helped. And sometimes he does just come out of nowhere. Now you could also say Tyler would be a good Six Ranger, but again, Tyler's always missing in action just a little too much for him to be a solid Ranger on this team. Versus Stefan, Stefan is always there. So and then he also has to make certain decisions a lot of the time that people aren't always for. So I do feel like he would be a great addition to this team as a Go Ranger. With that being said, a lot of Six Rangers have a bestie. They get a bestie within the team. And I feel like you guys know where we're going as far as Yellow Ranger. Now let's talk Yellow Rangers before we talk who's going to be the Yellow Ranger. So a lot of you guys have, if you watch the Power Rangers, you know a lot of Yellow Rangers have a good personality. They're very headstrong, bubbly people, but they do not play when it's time to get in the paint. When it's time to get in the mud, they lock in, they focus, and they help the rest of the team focus as well. With that being said, the one person who was able to help Stefan control his Ripper stuff and get himself on some type of decent track is Lexi. I feel like Lexi would have made a great Yellow Ranger. I wish she would have stayed on the show a little bit longer. R.I.P. to my girl. But I do feel like Lexi would have been a great Yellow Ranger. She was able to help Stefan kind of control everything that he had going on as far as being a Ripper. She was able to befriend everybody else. Everyone liked her. She had that kind of personality, except for Damon. She had that kind of personality that everybody liked. And on top of that, she wasn't a punk. Like, she would definitely get in there and she would fight. She would do whatever she needed to do to protect people that she actually cared about. A very good moment, a moment that definitely, if you ask me, would have made her a Power Ranger candidate for sure, is at the end of season 5 when Bonnie is the anchor and people are coming through her, coming back to life. Lexi was about to, and she realized that it was slowly taking Bonnie out, and so she decided that she wasn't going to go through Bonnie, and she was actually going to stay on the other side while it collapsed and found her peace. You guys excuse my cat Saba. He decided to make an appearance. Can you move while we're recording, sir? 1 second. Are you at least gonna? No. Are you gonna speak? Are you gonna say something? No, so he's just gonna be in the camera. We're just gonna keep going and act like he's not there, okay? Okay. But yeah, Lexi definitely is one of those people, like, she looks out for everybody else, and I feel like that's what a lot of Yellow Rangers do. Like I mentioned, Lexi. Let's back up a little bit. Like I mentioned, the powers came from the founding families. I do have my own special lore for Lexi. Here we go. So there is a founding family that people forget about all the time, if you ask me, and it's the Fell family. Trip fell, Meredith fell. That's the one that gave Elena the vampire blood in the first place. That turned Elena. Now most of their family has. Oh, and Logan fell. I forgot about that jerk. Logan fell was the first Fell family member that we met in the show. He was dating Aunt Jenna, but forget about him. Most of the Fell family have been doctors. That's been recorded. We've seen it, a few times. So I would imagine that they're not just a smart family, but a family that studies quite often. Travels does work quite often once you become a doctor. I do feel like they probably felt like there was a Fell member at some point that was charged with being the Yellow Ranger, and they felt like it was too much on their plate to try to save the world, to try to help people, and they probably wanted to be a doctor more. I would also say that this happened in the same time in Mystic Falls that they had a Ripper problem, being Stefan. But Lexi was there to stop the Ripper problem, and she was able to help out. That failed family member, knowing that Lexi was a vampire, probably thought that she was still very trustworthy, thought she was a really good candidate, and decided, why the hell not? And gave Lexi the Yellow Ranger powers, hoping that she would keep her protected and, I guess pass it on to somebody worthy. Now, where those powers went after Lexi was taken out of there, that is a mystery for a part 2 of this video if you guys like this, because there's so many characters in the Vampire Diaries, we could easily swap characters out and make them different colors. So if you guys want to do a part 2 of this in particular team, let me know, because there's more lore that can be given to more characters. So let's do a quick Ranger recap. Boom. Like I said, Dark Red Ranger would have been Catherine Pierce. Our backup Red Ranger, Jeremy Gilbert. Our main Red Ranger, Elena Gilbert. Our Pink Ranger, Caroline Forbes. Couldn't see nobody else wearing the suit. The Green Ranger, the most down-to-earth one, and the one that, is continuously using spells to look out for the rest of the team and helping them get power-ups, would have been Bonnie Bennett. Our Blue Ranger, being reliable and being a pretty trustworthy person, is Matt Donovan, if you guys stop hating on him and actually give him a chance. Right? Our Yellow Ranger is the bubbly and persistent and pretty powerful Lexi. Lexi, what's her last name? I think it's Braun. Lexi's last name is Braun, I believe. She wasn't a family member, so I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's Lexi Braun. And then to round off the team, we have our Sixth Ranger, our Gold Ranger being Stefan Salvatore. But what is a Power Ranger team without a mentor? Or two? Because essentially, this group of kids had, outside of Stefan, he's a grown man, but this group of kids had 2 adults that they can really run to. That's Alaric Saltzman and Damon Salvatore. I strongly and truly believe that Damon and Alaric would be the mentors of this team. They would not want to be Power Rangers, but look, I mean, it just makes sense. Alaric is constantly training one of them, one of the kids, mostly Elena and Hope. That's a different story. But he's constantly training kids, and Jeremy too. He was working out with them as well. And then you have Damon, who makes a lot of the hard calls that people don't like all the time, and he just does things to just be doing them. But essentially, it's to help everybody else out. But they're a funny group of guys. I do believe that Damon, while Alaric is cool with just being called a mentor, I feel like Damon would want to do something stupid and have like a special nickname like the Den Mothers or something like that. And everybody would hate it at first, but at some point, you know how like the Vampire Diaries is, like at some point people just keep saying things and saying it over and over again, or not even just the Vampire Diaries, but like a show where a character says something that no one likes, but as time goes on, they kind of mention it and keep bringing it back up, like, oh, the Den Mothers, oh, we should go talk to the Den Mothers, and eventually it just sticks. So I feel like Alaric would like it. I also think Damon would hop at the chance to be the mentor because it gives him a reason to boss everyone around, and everyone has to listen to him, including people like Lexi, Caroline, and Bonnie, and Matt, who really dislike him the most. That's majority of the team. But I think that he would be down for that kind of cause. I think he would be down to help mentor the Rangers and just make them a full team and make them the best that they can be in Mystic Force. All right, you guys, so wrapping this up, I did the recap already. Like I said, if you like this video, subscribe, like it, ring the bell, or hit the bell, the notification, so you can see more videos like this. I watch a lot of shows and a lot of Power Rangers, so this series is probably going to last for a little while I just randomly pick different seasons and stuff like that. I'm also going to do in this what if certain teams like switch their powers up. So you know what, and I'm open to taking ideas. While I'm making my own ideas, I'm open to taking you guys' suggestions. So please put it in the comments what you might want to see next. If you want to see a part 2 to the Vampire Samurai Diaries, or if you want to see another team, another show, what you think would be a good mashup, or 2 completely different shows, a show that's completely different from a Power Ranger season that like completely opposites. If you want to see that, let me know. I'm cooking up stuff and I'm so open to hearing what everybody else has to say. Whew, sorry, I got a little long-winded, but if you hung in there this long, thank you so much for staying. I really appreciate the time. Thanks for chilling in the Chocolate Milk Corner, and I will chat with you guys next time. Deuce. Everybody be safe and be blessed.